Welcome to One-on-One with Expert Flyer. I'm your host, Lisa Caslin, and today we are talking to Chris Bakke. He is a travel blogger at OneWeirdBlog.com, and he is a prolific travel writer, author of over 20 books, right, Chris?
Yep.
And we have him on today because we want to explore the weirdest state in the Union, Florida.
Yep.
So talk to us a little bit, because when typically when people and families think Florida, they think Disney, Universal Studios. You are not talking about Disney today, right?
Oh no. No, it's funny. Everyone thinks about Florida and they think Disneyland, they think Universal, they think the beaches. And I've got to say, for a state with such an odd history and an oddball collection of people that have called the state home, there are people that have elected to move here to seek their fortunes. Some just came for the weather.
Some of them run from the cops.
Yeah, some of them are run for the cops. Some are just a little on the crazy side, and each and every one of them have helped to create a state that is easily the weirdest state in the union. And that's actually the subject of my next book. It's called What the Florida, and it's coming out June 1st. It'll be available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, and in print.
Very cool.
Keep your eyes out for that.
Okay, cool. So give us some highlights. What can we expect in the book, and what are some of your favorite weird and exotic places in Florida?
Sure. Okay, so one of my favorites. I'm just going to go off with one of the weirder places first. This is in a city called Ona, Florida. O-N-A, Florida. It's about 49 miles east of Sarasota. And what if I told you that there's a castle made from aluminum printing plates that were discarded by the newspaper?
Wow. I'd like to see a picture of that.
Yeah, so just to set it up, this guy decided to make a castle, a literal castle on this land that he bought. And when he first bought it, he didn't know that this land was basically a swamp. So he started building a castle out of these aluminum printing plates that the newspaper just discarded. He's a crafty sort of handyman, so once the castle was built, he also built the stained glass windows. He would just make all sorts of really corny and punny sort of crafts. So one thing to look for there might be like a coat hanger sculpture of a unicorn. It's just a horse with a transplant. And a motorcycle piece called Evil Corn Evil. And there's also the world's only gun with a square barrel and a square bullet. It's the tour guide. It's just this
kitschy,
rapid fire, kitschy, punny way of looking at just the intrigue and the craftsmanship of this one guy.
Wow. So, but if you go, how do you pronounce it again?
Ona, Florida. It's just called Solomon's Castle.
Okay.
Solomon, like the king in the Bible. Solomon's Castle. Yes, it's open basically almost all year round from October to July.
Okay, but if somebody was going to travel to Florida, with their family or not, just for a visit, where would they be? Would they stay in Ona, or would they stay in what would be the nearest popular place that they'd be staying?
It's about 50 miles from Sarasota. So honestly, I would probably start from Sarasota and make that the morning trip or the afternoon trip. This is a good example of what happens when you begin looking for the weird and the bizarre. You rarely find them in the middle of a downtown populated area.
Understood.
The weirder it often is, more often than not, the further out from civilization tends to be. In fact, we lost cell phone reception as we were driving in, and we were very thankful that Google Maps had already sort of downloaded the directions. So.
Okay, what else you got?
What else? Okay, just gonna take a quick peek here. Honestly, one of my favorite things to do wasn't necessarily on the weird side, but certainly the Kennedy Space Center. It's very much has that amusement park feel. in that you're going through, 50, 60, 70 years of space flight history. The lesser known side of that, though, and certainly the cheaper, more kid-friendly side, is the American Space Museum. This
Mm-hmm.
is also in Titusville, Florida, and it's maybe less than 20 minutes away. Different, less touristy part of town.
Mm-hmm.
So where the Kennedy Space Center has all the big rockets and all the really
Bells
fancy,
and whistles.
ethereal experience and the great music and all this other stuff, the American Space Museum is sort of the behind the scenes look. So one of the first things you'll see as you go in, there's different rooms dedicated to the various missions, the Apollo missions, the Gemini missions, the Mercury missions. You see this whole setup of the computer panels and all the buttons and stuff. And this is all completely kid friendly. They can go up and they can flip the toggles, they can push the buttons. There are some exhibits that are off limits for kids,
Mm-hmm.
and those are pretty clearly, signed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is old tech. Kids are allowed to play on and touch and have fun with.
Cool.
A lot of this stuff dates back to the late 50s and early 60s, and it's kind of weird to think about this, but not too long ago, these were the tools and machines that required dozens of workers to use, and now kids play things.
I know, isn't it amazing? It's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, what else? Got one more?
Yeah. So, okay. So if you go to Florida, obviously you think of the pirates and the treasures,
Yes.
and there are all sorts of pirate treasure museums. One of my favorites in that genre was the Mel Fisher's Treasure Museum. This is in Sebastian, Florida, about 17 miles south of Melbourne. And if you can, imagine finding $450 million worth of treasure.
I imagine it every day.
I'd love to imagine it myself. And this is in 1985 dollars, by the
Wow.
way. So 30 years ago, $450 million,
It's a lot of
probably
gold.
a bit more. Yeah. So they discovered 1,000 silver bars, 100,000 pieces of 8, 40 tons of silver and gold.
Wow.
This was a wreck that sank in 1622, and supposedly only half the treasure was discovered, was recovered. The other half is
Still
still
there.
down there somewhere.
Okay.
So, yeah, this treasure museum gives you a nice big swath of the treasure that's been discovered by a guy named Mel Fisher. He is self-described as the world's greatest treasure hunter, and yeah, so he's got a
Wow.
museum here in Sebastian, and there's another one in Key West if you're heading that way instead.
Sure.
Yeah, so in
Very
terms
cool.
of places to go, those are just a few. The book has over 90 places.
Okay, so just off the top of your head, because different people like different things, different people have other, needs and requirements, right? So if you're a millennial and you're, hitting it, you want to see and experience maybe some more adventure related things, whereas maybe a boomer might want a different experience, a little more. Do you have, sort of recommendations for, kind of different swaths of people?
The simple answer is yes. Florida is one of the rare states that really does have something for everyone, at the risk of using the cliche. As I was researching this book, I made it a point to find places that were family friendly and kid friendly. And so those places are specifically highlighted as being, kid friendly or whatever. I don't have kids myself, and I'm perfectly happy with an adult beverage here and there. And yes, what's the question? So in general, yeah, there really is something for everyone here. For the millennials, there's the Machine Gun America. This is a place where you can shoot real guns without needing any licenses. There's a nudist resort mentioned. If you've ever needed the feeling of complete freedom.
Okay.
There's
No.
the Candyman Kitchens, one of the bigger candy stores I've ever seen.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Cool.
there's a lot of things for every age range and every budget.
All right.
Yeah, I'll note that nothing here is is anywhere near as expensive as the Disneys or the Universals of the world.
So in your book, do you outline any kind of potential itinerary? So I'm flying to, I don't know, Boca Raton, starting there. This is kind of your potential pathway to the weird and exotic.
The simple answer is in this book, I don't. Basically, what I do is I have itineraries and guidebooks. Guidebooks are for the people that say, just give me the best places to go. I like the making my own trip. I like choosing my own adventure. I just
Mm-hmm.
need to know what's worthy.
Okay.
The itineraries that I write are more specifically A to B to C to D. Go here, then jump on the bus or get in your car, go to B, then go to C and go to D. And that's
Okay.
specifically made to ensure that you can go to the places when they're open, but also enjoy, the full quality of things without having to think or plan too much. This
Okay.
is a guidebook. So this is
Got it.
specifically written towards the person that says, I want to read and I like to plan and do that stuff myself. That said, if you're looking for sort of the cheat sheets, in the back, there's a theme index, there's a city index, and there's
Very
an
good.
alphabetical index. So you can
Perfect.
see the places that all kind of fit the same theme. For example, animals and nature. History was made here. Places that are the specific places that are kid friendly. Oddball collections museum, stuff like that.
Perfect. All right. So before we let you go, are there any events coming up maybe over the summer that, folks who might be planning a trip should know about that, they might want to check out?
Yes. Let's see here. Gonna come up with June. So June, you've got the Billy Bowlegs Pirate Festival. You've also got a pirate festival in Cocoa Beach. The thing that I would be attending myself if I were in town would be the Celebrity Mascot Games.
What's that?
And the story here is that you've seen the mascots at any major sports
Sure. Yeah.
show. They're all these big guys in the foam costumes and whatever.
Yeah.
The story goes these guys get together and they have like a little gladiator style Olympic sort of games, and it's all done for charity.
Oh, that's
Um,
great.
and it's the sort of thing where whatever your favorite sports team is, your mascot's out there running and jumping and maybe fighting a little bit with each other, but it's one of those things that's always for a good cause.
That's goofy. When is that? What's the date on that
That's
and where is it?
that's going to be late June. It's
Uh-huh.
in Orlando, Florida, at the Amway Center, and the website is going to be mascotgames.org.
Very cool.
In July, you've got the Key Lime Festival, everything having to do with the key limes, the pies and the cocktails and all that kind of stuff down in Key West.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Listen, it was wonderful to have you, Chris. We'd love to have you back. Looking forward to the book. Remind everybody what your website is so they can visit you and read your blog.
Yep, it's oneweirdglobe.com. And for all the books I've written books across the world by this point. So oneweirdglobe.com/books. The next book is called What the Florida, and it's out June 1st.
Good. Okay, good luck to you.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
You too, Chris.